Hey there everybody, I hope that you're doing well. If you are a buyer today in the market, I want to talk to you. If you're a buyer, I know there are tons of things that are going through your head right now. There are many factors involved in making sure that you choose the right place for your next home, right? What I want to do in this video is I want to lay out a few important factors to consider when looking for your next home. So if you listen up to these tips, this will help you to avoid some headache and heartache along the way, and it will also help you avoid buyer's remorse after you purchase that home. Let's do this. One important factor to consider when buying that next home is don't even look at a house that you can't afford. So when you're doing your search, make sure that you state a budget and stick to that budget. So when you're doing your searches online or in person, if you go outside of that budget, you're just going to see things in certain houses that you really love, but you know deep down that it does not fit what you're looking to pay for in a home. So make sure that you stick to your budget. And speaking of budget and what this house is going to cost you, if you're taking out a mortgage, make sure that you use an online calculator. There are tons of mortgage calculators that are out on the web now, and you can punch in your mortgage amount and it tells you exactly what you're gonna pay in principal each month and then interest. So those are obviously two keys as part of your monthly payment. But also, do not forget that you've got to pay taxes as well on that property, and you also have to pay home insurance on that property. And another thing that you've got to do is you've got to maintain it. So the more expensive of a property that you buy and the larger of a property that you buy, that's more taxes and more insurance that you have to pay for that property, and also maintenance is higher as well. So please keep all those factors in mind when you sit down and you look at a budget and you're trying to figure out what can I and can't I afford. A lot of people like to stretch their budget, but like I said, as you're stretching, make sure you take into account those other things that you'll have to pay for each month and each year for your new property. Another thing, number two, this is a big factor to consider, and that is location. Now, you might be laughing. Some of you probably heard people say, oh, real estate is all about location, location, location. It's been said for years, right? And it's absolutely true, guys. It's so true. Because think about it. You buy this house, and there is only a certain amount of renovation projects and remodeling that you can do to it. And sure, those are all great and wonderful, but all of that renovation and remodeling is not going to change the location of that property. That is such a big key when you're trying to figure out where your next home will be. I'll give you an example. A few months back, I was working with some clients here in town. They found a great property online. The pictures looked beautiful, nice granite countertops, huge kitchen. It had the number of bedrooms they wanted, the bathrooms, had a great yard, and we pulled it up on Google Maps, which I highly recommend. If you're scoping out a project, look at it on Google Maps, zoom out, right, and see what's around this property. And we did this, and we saw that less than a mile away, there was a landfill. So it was kind of hidden through some woods, but we could see it on Google Maps. You saw a landfill less than a mile away, and we all knew that, hey, depending on which way the wind was blowing that day, you could get a sniff that you might not like. So guess what? We did not even go visit that property. Like I said, pictures looked amazing. It had a lot of pros to it, but that was one biggie that we knew we couldn't change. We could not move that property that was next to a landfill. So keep in mind the location when looking for a spot for your next property. Let's take a time out real quick. Please take a second to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button to my channel. That way, guess what you do? You support me and what I'm trying to do here through this real estate channel. And come on, I know you want to support me a little bit just by hitting a little subscribe button, right? Third thing to keep on your list of factors to consider when you're buying a house is the home inspection. So if you see red flags with the home inspection, then it might be a good idea to turn around and walk away. So I will explain here a little more, and this depends on the market that you're in. So we're here now in early 2022, and it is very much so a seller's market. So we're seeing more and more that people are offering to purchase homes and they're not even asking for a home inspection. So that can be a bit dangerous, right? Depending on the condition and age of the home and other factors. But in a, let's just call it a typical market, you would get a home inspection and the inspector would come through, take a look at various aspects of the house and figure out if there are red flags. Some things would need to be fixed for you to move in and would need to be fixed so the house is safe for you to live in. And then there are some things that could be fixed and they're kind of lower on the list. But make sure that you comb through that inspection report carefully. And if there are red flags, then that's all part of the negotiation process. So if there are some big ticket items in that inspection report that comes back from the inspector, make sure that you go back to the negotiating table with your realtor or real estate agent, and you guys can either work with the sellers on lowering the price of the house, or you can just demand that they fix them, right? You can ask that they fix as part of the negotiation. And if they won't do any of that, then guess what? As long as you have a home inspection contingency, right, as part of the contract, then you get to walk out of the deal and you can walk away. So keep that in mind when it comes to evaluating that house to make sure there aren't any big issues with it. And fourth, here's a big tip that I will share with you. Make sure that you just make a good list of those things that you have to have, and we'll call those needs, right? So make a good list of needs and then make a good list of wants. And make sure that you clearly define those. And over on the side of needs, that would be, for example, things like number of bedrooms or number of bathrooms. You could say, hey, look, for my household to function correctly or my family to function correctly, we've got to have at least 4 bedrooms. We got to have at least 4 bedrooms. So that way you know that, hey, if you come across a house with 3 bedrooms or less, then it's automatically off the list because it doesn't fit that important criteria. And also, depending on your transportation situation, you might need a house that's close to public transit. So make sure you put that in the column of needs. Now, there will be some wants as well that are, we'll call those negotiable. So there are some wants like, oh, hey, I'd like something with a nice garden out front. Or yes, I would like, my cabinets to be a certain color, or, maybe you want a certain number of cabinets or whatever in your kitchen. Those things you could change, right, when you move in. So, make sure that you don't get quite hung up on those wants, and then it causes you to walk away from a property if it fits your needs. So those are basically, they're kind of pros and cons as well. So make sure you make a solid list at the very beginning and stick to that, because that will help you keep yourself on track. So as you think through all of this, guys, remember that no house is perfect. Now you're going to walk in and out of a lot of properties and you'll see that none of them are perfect. There are going to be good things about some houses and there are going to be some negatives. But the question is, and this is a big key, can you live with those negatives that you see in a property? Because like I said, there's usually going to be plenty of positives, but you've got to look at those negatives and see if you can live with them. So just keep in mind, you're not going to find that perfect property, but try to find the one that fits the needs of you and or your family the best. So if you're looking to buy a home and you're watching this video to try to gather some tips on how best to buy that home, chances are you probably have a property that you're looking to sell. So take a look at this YouTube video here on my channel where I talk about ways that you can boost your home value. So check that out and see if that helps you sell your house or your property at a high level, and that way you can hopefully buy that next property easily. So I appreciate you for jumping in and listening to this video. I hope that it helps you out. If you have any questions at all about this process that I just talked about, please reach out to me. I'll have my cell number and I'll have my email address here at the end of this video. You can reach out that way. You can comment down below as well. But I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next video.